This is In the In-Between, and I'm glad you've decided to join us today. Yesterday was tax day. I suppose that was a little bit of fun for some of us. Oh, I don't know. In any event, today I wanted to talk about a little bit of negotiation strategy. Don't necessarily want to give away the secret sauce, but I want to debunk some of the myths that many of the market participants have. Have you watched the movie A Beautiful Mind? It's a great little movie, and I'm sure many of you have seen it. It's about Professor John Nash and his wife and his life. And ultimately, he won a Nobel Peace Prize for some of his behavioral economic theories. Among them is a fairly complicated concept of how certain kind of negotiations would go on. And I don't want to generalize it too much, except to say, in the real estate world, let's look at it this way. Yeah, the old meet in the middle. Yeah, meet in the middle. Well, let's take some theoretical numbers and hope that I can maybe do the math on the fly. Let's look at a $2.4 million home that's listed and offered at $2.4 million. And then let's look at a buyer who thinks they're going to offer $2 million for it to get the conversation going, or maybe get the conversation ended. We don't know what's going to happen. But anyway, I suppose if you have a listing offering at 2.4 and the first offer comes in at 2 million, what do you think people think on the other side? If they're not emotional at all and they're just looking at it, they're going to think, oh, well, maybe they want to meet in the middle at 2.2 million. Well, mission accomplished, because there's a couple of things that have happened. Number one, the value of the property no longer makes any difference to either party. They're now going to just negotiate back and forth on some arbitrary set of meet in the middle numbers. But you know what? If you game that out, and people don't do things quite so perfectly, almost always in a structured, randomized game theory program, the meet in the middle strategy always results in a price higher than what the original middle was. Almost always. 3 attempts, 5 attempts, 7 attempts, 15 attempts at back and forth. It doesn't matter. It's not a great strategy. The value of the property is what matters. And what happens is we get lost in a number and we start going back and forth trying to meet some middle somewhere. And it goes something like this. 2.4 is the offer at the listing. 2 million comes in from the buyer. Seller looks at that more often than not and maybe thinks, oh, they want to meet in the middle, but I don't know about that. And let's go back at 2,350,000. Then what happens? Well, the buyer maybe wants the home and they says, well, maybe they want to meet in the middle. Maybe they don't. I don't know. They're getting lost. They're going back and forth on numbers. They're not looking at the value of the home. And well, let's go at 2.1. I don't know. Could be any random number. Well, where are you now? You're now beyond the original 2.2. 2.1 plus 2.35 is $4,450,000. Not $4,400,000. That's just one randomized game theory chalking out of what might go back and forth. It could have been different. Seller could have said, let's go back at 2,380,000. And buyer comes back and says, let's go back at 2,050,000. Keep running the math. Almost every time after 3 or 4 randomized, back and forth, gaming it out, the middle is moving up, not down. I'm not sure I'm going to give away totally the secret sauce and how to handle negotiations and how many times you should even go back and forth. Hint, once. But I will say this, and I'll say this with some clarity. The person that knows the value of the home and is committed to that value first, and that person who's willing to go, just beyond the middle point. Either the seller moving just beyond the theoretical 2.2 or the buyer working just north of 2.2 is going to likely beat the gaming of back and forth to get to a higher middle than was originally even contemplated. It's not that hard. There is a way to negotiate, but the first thing you have to know, you got to work with somebody that understands who John Nash was. And the next thing you got to understand is don't negotiate numbers. Talk about the value of the home. At the end of the day, the simplest negotiation in this scenario would have been something like this. The offer is 2.2. The buyer offers 2. The midpoint looks like it's 2.2. And let's say the value of the home is $2,189,000. If the seller's astute enough and his counter's $2,189,000 delivered properly, that contract gets signed and we go to the closing table. Behavioral economics is everything. Negotiating numbers is meaningless. Working off the value of the home is what matters. Thanks for joining us for this April 16th edition of In the In-Between. I hope you have a great day.